old liberal, not as old as, well, older than Joan categorically, but Gerard, I might have missed something. You made a reference to recall.
Yeah.
I think you were speaking of the wasteland of rural Ontario, to be liberal. But as we sit on the border, I thought, this is sounding like American politics. 25%, what do we call it? But might you just clarify me a little bit?
We're going to release a whole policy later today, and we'll make sure that everybody, if they've left an email address or if you're on a list, I'm sure everybody's on lists and getting lots of stuff, you'll get a copy of it. But essentially what I'm saying is that within the party itself, that we need a fail-safe. We see what I think has happened in recent times, so we had to acknowledge even the best of intentions. And we have a premier, frankly, that has a lot of integrity. And it was a pleasure to work with him for 10 years. And but even with the best of intentions, things can go awry in terms of being able to stay in touch because the pressures are all in the opposite direction. They bring all the power into the leader's office. They cut out, they make too convenient not to be talking to people. And so what I want to bring in is what I think is an important mechanism where you are in charge, you matter more. And whether it's a health writing or not, you're able to be part of it, getting informal accountability sessions, getting information that you need, but then also, if things aren't going well, calling the leader into accountability sessions where you get to vote, and it's 3 strikes, and then you're up for a party-wide vote on recall. Now, I intend for that never to be used, but you can imagine the leader under that is going to be much more compelling when we say to the people of this province, we have changed, and we are going to be able to listen, because it's not about a new face on the poster. You know, you can see out there which parties have made successful transitions when they were in office, and it's the ones that come prepared with real change agendas, not just those who are going to look different or try and sound different. You have to be able to have something that touches people, and the things that are going to make a difference to people out there are the things that we do. You know, we don't have a tremendous amount of credibility. We've used it up, and Sandra mentioned this. There is a fiscal challenge, and that fiscal challenge is a liberal challenge, but we have to do it in liberal ways, which mean transforming services, not simply, as Mr. Drummond says, you don't cut across the board, you don't necessarily freeze and so on. And I want to just disagree with one thing of Sanders. It's not about 20/20 hindsight. You know, having been Minister of Education for 3 years, having done the first 4-year deal, there are different ways to go. And I made interventions quietly with the government and so on. And I understand that there's certain things that went awry here in terms of where we're at. But I want to assure Liberals, we shouldn't think for a second this isn't fixable. The situation with teachers needs to be done in a way that respects the people that work for the public service. It's been our hallmark. And just because we have to save dollars doesn't mean we're going to change that. And in fact, we have to find a way within healthcare, within all of our public services, to do similar things. And so this is an approach that we really have to take. And keeping a leader on track is the job of the wing of the volunteers as well as the caucus wing. And the accountability flows both ways. But we're a little out of balance right now. And so the recall idea is simply one way of putting that back.
That was a question for Gerard, but Sandra has a few words she wants to add.
This also came up during the Ottawa debate, and what I said openly at that time is I don't want to talk about recall. It is the Americanization of Ontario politics. When I was in opposition, the Conservative government of the day was trying to bring in referenda legislation, which is what they've had in America in multiple states for many years, and it's been a disaster for them. So I don't want to be the one to make that discussion. So even using the language says that there's something wrong with our system. What I have said, though, about party politics and accountability is, and I was opposed when we did it, because when Greg Soubert started out as the president, he was not the MPP. We should not have an MPP as the party president. And we should have stopped that. And I know we've continued to elect party presidents who are MPPs, but there has got to be a distinction. There is a difference between the elected arm of the party and the party itself. And when MPPs, who also report into the Premier as well as to their local constituents, you can't serve two masters in that way. And I argued it then, afterwards when Deb became the party president, and at the time she was my PA, and I remember this conversation saying we just can't have that. So there's a number of ways in our party system today to keep those lines going where people have to be accountable. Quite frankly, you need to pick the right leader. You need to pick the one that you know is going to listen, and you've got to have a track record with those people. So when I'm talking to Roger Valley, who you've been in the party at the length of time, you know he's been in Kenora for 100 years, doing the yeoman's duty for the Liberal Party. He's a guy who's supporting me because he knows. If you've been around the party, you know the people who are going to listen, who are going to be there for you. But I'm just delighted to have a chance to talk to people who have been in the party a long time, who know there are difficult times and difficult choices, that ultimately you get driven by who you are. And that's why in a leadership race, it's important to know who's the leader you're voting for, where do they come from, what kinds of things drive them. And when I talk about developmental disabilities, which has been an issue in the Sarnia area, by the way, you need to know that those were the issues that drove me from being a Liberal volunteer for many years to being a candidate in 1995. So when I was finally the Minister of Community and Social Services, I started the Passport program to help adults with developmental disabilities, because that's where I spent my volunteer hours before I was ever elected. These are the things I want people to know about me, so that you'll know we're going to govern like Liberals, like a true centrist Liberal government, and we're going to have a strong economy to be able to do that.